Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of SamDjanShow. Today we're talking about ways Atuk, so let's get into it. Welcome back to the next episode of SamDjanShow. Today we're talking about Atuk. Now before I do it, like, subscribe, and click a notification bell. Now you're probably thinking, what is Atuk? Well, Atuk is basically a screenplay, and like people keep saying this project is cursed. Like basically anyone who touches this movie, they end up dying for some reason. So there are up to like 6 actors who have been attached to this project, which if you don't know, Atuk is based on the novel The Incomparable Atuk, which rumors of the script has been cursed was dismissed in 1999, but people keep saying this is a legend that so many people died from this movie. Yeah, let's get into it. So the 6 actors I want to get into. Now I saw this website, like I wanted to see it, like um. So this is pretty much it. I don't know what it says. It says horror bound. Um, So going for the Curse of Atuk, a Hollywood script that has killed 6 actors. I want to dive into something a little different today, but something super spooky. Outside of the horror genre, I love everything paranormal. I'm a big delivering ghost and have had too many experiences to count. So I thought it would be fun to bring a little paranormal activity to horror bound. Why? Because it's my site and feel like it. That's the benefit of being the owner. You'll have to read my paranormal rambling. But I thought this would be fun because it does involve movies, one in particular. And while it's not a horror movie, it's a movie that kills people. So it's kind of like a real life horror movie. This is pretty much what the Atuk book looks like. Um, so the story is about a puny poet from Baffling Island who gets sent to Toronto, a total fish out of war story. But in the movie version, he lives in Alaska and ends up in New York City. A woman visits his town in Alaska. To documentation. When they leave, he stows away on the plane. Where he arrives, he saves a young man who was powerful, or who was son of a powerful real estate Mongol and hijinks. The film adaptation was requested by Norman Jewison. He is a Canadian director and producer who helped start up the CBC and did a bunch of other wonderful things. He certainly has lived a crazy productive life. Go check him out. In the early 1970s, Todd Carroll wrote the adaptation, and Jewison planned to film it in Canada. Now, this leads to one person who was John Belushi. Now you probably know John Belushi. He was in Animal House. He was in the Blues Brothers. He's done lots of movies. He was also part of SNL. Now he was the first person attached to this project, and John Belushi was the first actor to be attached to the film. He was offered the role in 1982 and showed a lot of interest in the script. But a few months later, on March 5th, Belushi was tragically found dead in his hotel room at the Chateau Marmont by his trainer Bill Wallace. He was only 33 years old. The cause of death was determined to be drug related, most likely a speedball. His death was investigated by forensic pathologists and the findings were disputed. 2 months later, Catherine Evelyn Smith admitted she had been with Belushi on the night of his death and given him the fatal dosage. The case was reopened. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, this was the first. So, yeah, John Belushi, you probably know him. He was in the Blues Brothers. He died 33. He was part of SNL, and yeah, so he was the first person attached to this project. And so yeah, let's move to the second person who was attached, is Sam Kinison. Um, Kinison, I think, was also in SNL. In 1986, after losing their lead, the script went back on the market, and this time Sam Kinison got involved. He would play the lead role of Atuk in 1988. Production began and managed 8 days of filming before Kinison halted the production. He didn't like the way it had turned out and began to rewrite the script. Kinison said that he was given creative control. Apparently, he became difficult when the studio got involved. A lawsuit began. The movie was put on hold until 1992 when production began to set up again. Unfortunately, during these negotiations, Kinison died. It was Friday, April 10th, 1992. He was only 38. His vehicle was struck head-on in California by a pickup truck, driven by a 17-year-old who was drunk. Kinison was alive off the crash. His best friend, Carl LeBov, had been driving behind him at the time of the accident. His brother was there as well, and they could see no visible injuries. But Kinison began to talk to himself, repeating, "I don't want to die." It then appeared as if he were talking to someone who wasn't there. But why? Okay, and then he lost consciousness. He could not be rescued. resuscitated and he died at the scene from internal injuries. His wife, who was also in the car, survived with a mild concussion. So Sam Kinison, he's the second person to delete, and he tragically died. Now let's go to third person, John Candy. Now you know John Candy. He was in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He was also in Home Alone. He was in Uncle Buck. He's in a lot of movies, and he's the third person to be cast. The production team refused to give up. They really believed the script was something special, and so in 1994 they approached John Candy and offered him the role. Candy was thrilled and began to study the script. In March of that year, he also died. Candy was working in Mexico, and at some point in the night of March 4th, he died of a heart attack. He was 43 years old. Candy had reportedly asked his co-star Michael O'Donoghue, who we will get to in a second, to also read the script and perhaps join the cast. In November of that same year, he also passed away. He had a history of chronic migraines and died from a cerebral hemorrhage at 54 years old. Let's go to the fourth person. Now, let's quickly go Kelly Donahue, which he was also attached to this. He died in, I think, 1994. He was 54. Like he wasn't cast as the lead. He was involved in the film, but he wasn't going to play the lead role. I was going to the fourth person who was cast, Chris Farley. Now you probably know Chris Farley. He was in SNL. He was in Beverly Hills Ninja. He was also in Chris Farley. What other movies he did? He was in Airheads. He was in Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, Almost Heroes, and yeah. So yeah, and fun fact, he was actually supposed to play Shrek before Mike Myers. He was supposed to play Shrek, but and he recorded most of the lines, but then he passed away. So they brought Mike Myers in, and then Mike Myers had to redo all of the lines. And yeah, so Chris Farley was also from SNL. So let's get to the fourth person who was cast, Chris Farley. 1997 rolls around and the film surfaces again. Atuk was offered to Chris Farley. Farley was aware that his idol Belushi was once offered a part, and so he was intrigued and expressed an interest. But much like his idol, Farley also died young, and the same age of 33. A few months after reading the script, on December 18th, Farley was found dead by his younger brother in his apartment. He died of a drug overdose, a speedball just like Belushi. And so you think at this point they would just scrap this script, but no, they still kept going, which I mean it's tragic. Like you've lost already 4 people and like 5 people, and you still want to. Now let's go to the fifth person, who was the fifth and final person, Phil Hartman. Fairly much like Candy, also introduced his friend Phil Hartman to the script 5 months after the tragic death of Farley. Hartman's wife murdered Phil in cold blood. His wife, Bryn Hartman, got into a heated argument with Phil after he threatened to leave her if she started using drugs. At 3 a.m., Bryn entered the bedroom and around 3 a.m. shot Phil twice in the head and once in his side. She drove to a friend's house and confessed to the murder. The friend didn't believe her, so the two then drove back to the house. The friend saw the body and called the police. As the police arrived and escorted the children out of the home, Bryn locked herself in the bedroom and tried herself to commit suicide. And so Atuk sits untouched and unmade and untouched. Some believe in the curse, some don't. I'm not sure why no one is questioning the fact that a bunch of white men were being cast as an Inuit. But that's a whole other side of Hollywood. But who knows if the script will ever come up of the dark attempt and be made out again. But I really hope it doesn't. That's a long history of bad luck and whitewashing that I wouldn't want to tamper with. So that's pretty much it with all the actors now. So you had John Belushi, Sam Kinison, John Candy, Chris Farley, and then you have Phil Hartman and Kevin Donahue. And so there has been some people who have been approached, like Will Ferrell, which obviously Will Ferrell wasn't dead. Like he's been approached to the project. So was Jack Black, John Goodman, Josh Mostel. Jonathan Winters. Now, Jonathan Winters, he lived to the age of 87. He died in April 2013. And Robin Williams also passed away in 2014. But I don't. So yeah, maybe Atuk happens in the future. I don't know. Maybe they cast one of these or another actor. So I wanted to get this out. Now before I just end this video, I just want to quickly Now, if you don't know anything about Atuk, I highly recommend you check out this YouTube video. The Curse of Atuk, the movie that killed all its lead actors, mystery by Abby Lendrum. Yeah, this one goes in detail of like the whole situation, and if you want a more in depth on this, then I highly recommend you check this video out. So yes, guys, so much for my video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.